Hello, everyone. My name is Deanna Harris. Welcome to the Black Women in Media's 5th Conference and Award. We are excited to introduce to you Busie Matsiko Andan, Global Strategist and CEO. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you very much, Deanna, for the wonderful welcome. And I would also like to thank the Black Women in Media for hosting this lovely event.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to do a quick intro bio on Busie. Busie Matsiko Andan is a global strategist connecting Africa to the world. New York-based serial entrepreneur, CEO, and global strategist at Point Global. Busie Matsiko Andan has a reputation for building strong alliances and relationships with Africa and the diaspora. She co-founded one of the first fashion technology companies. Thank you so much for being here, and let's get right into it. How did you get started in your career?
Wow, that's a long, I don't know whether you want to know about my, where I am today or what led me to my career, Well,
let's do a mixture of both, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay. So it's interesting, what many people do not know is actually I got started in law with the LLB, and I tried transfer the US, and I miscalculated my transfer, and I ended up in finance. So I worked on Wall Street, and while I was on Wall Street, somehow I said a meet and greet in the meatpacking district called Global Wednesdays. And from Global Wednesdays, Fashion Indie, which is a fashion media company, which actually is one of the first fashion technology companies. I founded it with someone I went to college with, and we brought awareness to indie designers. And as a result of it, I accidentally guest lectured at FIT because I don't have a fashion background. However, it was a segue into a lot of things I'm doing right now, including a strategy. I've used fashion as a cultural language, and to get to do other things. It's something I just found myself strong at. And leveraging my networks, and then also being of African descent, also touching into that, trying to be authentic, and using that with my diverse and eclectic background in New York. I mean, this is the melting pot. So I moved from that to even healthcare, to different industries. But what I found I was strongest in all these different industries was strategy. So that's how I have come to this point of Point Global, which is management consulting and recruiting company. And yes, and the premise of it right now is also women helping women. And so that's how I've gotten to this place and been active in media with my show Reset, and then Hello Africa Diaspora.
That is amazing. And you surely are a fashionista. You look beautiful today. And we're wearing the same blazer. So I feel good about myself.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about authenticity. How important is it to create authenticity as a business developer?
I believe to be a great business developer, you have to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And through authenticity is humility. It's finding that sense of humility, and with that authenticity comes a certain power, a certain strength, a certain enigma, a certain positive vibe and confidence that you're able to exude. And if you're not, on the contrary, if you're not authentic, there's a timidity, there's fakeness that could end up coming through, And I believe when you're especially dealing with people, authenticity is key. That genuine person is who people are able to connect with. Are you empathetic? Are you a listener, or are you just going to product dump? Are you going to spam, especially now in this day and age with this COVID age, where we have been given a blank check to reach out randomly to people? What are you offering yourself as a person, or are you just offering what you can give and say and trying to get? Those are things that I believe can be turn-offs when you're trying to create rapport with people who you're trying to engage with. So I believe it's important that you're authentic, because human beings can really tell if someone is being authentic or not. It's like you can be like a used car salesperson who's just product dumping, get, give me. That's not going to fly.
Mm.
However, if you connect, like you understand who you're dealing with, their behavior, what you as a person can genuinely offer that will help that person, that value add. I believe that is where authenticity is critical as a business developer.
That is an amazing way to put that. And it goes right into our next question, which is being authentic and being able to create those and being able to connect with people. And how do you use your authenticity to be able to maintain business relationships and take that to the next level?
So that's an interesting question. And this is where sometimes people can say there are different avenues in how you can create those relationships as well as preserve those relationships. It's easy to create relationships, but how easy is it to maintain those relationships? That is burning bridges. That's the negative part of it, right? But at the same time, you have a door into, you have an opportunity to connect with somebody. That's where sometimes you've heard of people name dropping or not name dropping. So this is where a question can come in. When is it okay to name drop, or when is it not okay to name drop? And this is my take on name dropping. Name dropping, you could name drop if you really know that person very well, and you know they'll vouch for you, or someone will vouch for you when you name drop. Because are you ready for someone to do a background check on you? If you're ready for them to do that background check on you, be ready to name drop. Or if you're name dropping somebody, do you know how well those two get along? You might name drop somebody, the wrong person, to another person, and that could instead burn that bridge. Yet you had an opportunity to maintain an amazing relationship. So back to how do you maintain relationships? It's also sometimes, you know what? Sometimes people just reach out. You know what it is? Sometimes people just only reach out to people when they want something, but not once in a while. Do you send out a card that even at the beginning of the year, Happy New Year, or a holiday card? May I have a happy holiday? Or do you listen to those people and see what they like? It could be that they have a child who loves tennis, and you ask them, how is your child who plays tennis? Those small things that they like, and that's what could separate you from one person who just goes and transacts, and that person who creates that relationship. So this person who you're trying to maintain a relationship will be like, oh, this person remembered the smallest details, because you've got to remember they are humans as well. So are you playing to that human, the human, or you're just playing to the business? So I believe when you're maintaining relationships, you have to speak and connect with the human element. Once you connect with the human element, a lot of things, fireworks, opportunities can be created. But also, are you a person who follows up on your word? Are you a person of your word, or just make promises, empty promises, and then you just drop the ball? How do you expect to maintain relationships when you do not keep your word, when you do not execute, and you're just all talk and no action? So once you're known to deliver results, and I actually believe you'd rather sell yourself than oversell yourself. Because if you undersell yourself, or you know what, at least you meet expectations or you exceed expectations. But if you oversell yourself, you could fall short, and then you could lose that opportunity of creating that lasting positive impression. And I will tell the person out there, I believe an important thing with regards to maintaining relationships is being true to yourself, being authentic to yourself, being honest, and excellent delivery, and creating an amazing experience, a memorable experience. You won't be forgotten, and rather that's where referrals. You get that repeat clientele. That's one way. Those are several ways in which you could actually maintain relationships.
Those are some great tips and advice. And paying attention to the details of things is is so important.
Absolutely.
Also. I feel like some people tend to forget that. And thank you also for clarifying about following up, because I feel like we kind of just get a system where we're sending out all these emails, like, well, we're trying to contact. So we have to remind ourselves to follow up, pay attention to the details, and be authentic.
Being deliberate. Yeah, once you're deliberate, you'll be able to meet all those expectations. And the key is not trying to be mediocre. You want to excel, right? So you have to be deliberate about excellence.
Yes, exactly. I like that. So what can one do for their personal brand to attract partners, the sales, the resources that they need to succeed?
With regards to personal branding, image is everything, first of all. How you package yourself, that is both as an individual, say like for instance, Busie, and as a company. Or even say you, Deanna, how you package yourself. When someone sees you, will they say you're always put together? Because people want to deal with people who are put together. I mean, very rarely, there's certain industries where, hey, especially with like say, if you're a mechanic, it's understood that, you know what, you won't be you won't dress up like a, but guess what, if you're going to an office to market your product, you have to dress the part, We're not saying always you can choose colors or themes that represent who you are, but you have to be able to understand who you're trying to attract, first of all. And based on who you're trying to attract, you should brand yourself that way. Always remember, it's your customers. Yeah, it's not about you. It's more about who you're trying to attract. And I believe that's where you also have to get some branding standards with regards to your company, right? That is, what's the name of your company? Is it a name that stands out? Is it a name that will create confusion, or it will create, wow, that's aha moment, so that people are like, oh, that's an interesting name. I want to know what that company is all about. And then your logo. Do you have a logo? Do you have a website? I know I did a Forbes Digital Accelerator. I was a speaker a couple of months ago, and the people at Forbes were saying for this that there were about 1,500 submissions, and this was powered by the global startup ecosystem. But guess what happened? 1,500 submissions, but I believe it was about only 250 made the cut. Why? They did not have website presence. So sometimes you think that is not necessary, but there are so many cheap sites out there, even like Wix. You could try to do something like that, just to put a breakdown of your services, and then also, do you have like with branding standards, you have to have that consistency. you know. That is even from your logos to how like even with your logos, is it on your letterheads, is it on your email sign-offs, is it on your, you know, that consistency, it's what brings the richness of your company, and it shows people that you're serious, you know. And then that's, if you want to take it an extra step forward, you could also do that in terms of what memorabilia you could give others. I'm giving an example of a medical practice I did strategy for. I mean, they give out pens, they give out the bags in which, this is a cosmetic surgery practice, they give out goodie bags with the logo, you know, things that people will remember. And if you give it to somebody else, business cards are also very important, you know. So those are types of things you could do. And these days, there are so many places where you can get it. There's Fiverr. If you don't have access to, I mean, you don't have to pay $300 for a logo. You can, there are all these free sites. Even these days, I believe Staples is now doing things for business people, you know. And it's just having that presence, that online. Do you have a Facebook? Or do you have LinkedIn, depending on who your audience is? Do you have an IG account, or do you have a YouTube account? It all depends on who you're trying to target. And based on that, just refining the vehicles in which you want to have that your branding standards stand out.
Yeah, I love how you said that. And I hope you ladies are taking notes, because she's dropping some gems here. And I love how you said the importance of attracting what you want, making a logo, making that website so that you can have a portfolio to show other partners that you want to collaborate with, and such as that. So how can you leverage online and digital drive revenue? What is the best way to use LinkedIn? When is the best way to use LinkedIn?
No. It's, you know what? LinkedIn has been it's interesting. I think sometimes I think LinkedIn, the older generations, more of millennials and above, have been using LinkedIn diligently. But I always say, even if you're fresh out of college, I try to have a LinkedIn presence. And once you're on LinkedIn, you start connecting with people who you know, and even people who you want to get to know that are in your industry. And you know what? Because these COVID times have been the exception to the rule, whereby in the past we had to connect with. It seemed dodgy if you suddenly contacted someone who you've never connected with or who you don't know, and then you reach out to them. But this is the first time where there's a level playing ground, whereby if you're savvy online, you could have your 5 minutes of fame with, say, a C-suite executive of one of your dream organizations, as long as you pitch yourself and present yourself well. You know, you can reach out and you start having a rapport. People understand these times this seems to be the new normal. So I think with LinkedIn, for especially business opportunities or job opportunities, LinkedIn is a good way of connecting with businesses you want to connect with, or industries you want to be in. I think, I believe, not just I think, I know, and I believe that you should take advantage of LinkedIn if that's the trajectory in which you want to go. If you're someone who's into content, that could be also building your YouTube channels, and probably coming up with short videos and that kind of thing, and trying to grow your your YouTube to about 1,000. I believe if you have about 1,000 followers, you can be able to start monetizing from putting content onto YouTube. And then that's one way of monetizing, you know. And obviously from things like Facebook, Instagram all those, I mean, like Instagram influencers. Once people start seeing you're active, people can ask you to become brand ambassadors. There are ways in which you can end up like, you love fashion. You could start posing on certain things or having photo shoots. Then certain brands can reach out to you and ask you to represent their brand, and you can make money from that. Or you could actually ask people who are looking to connect as well as sell their brands. They could do that through you, depending on how many, if you have thousands of followers. So there's no right or wrong question of how you utilize. You could either use it as a way to directly generate revenue, or as a means to show that you have, to say a company that deals with multicultural marketing. I'm just giving, like, say a car company, say for instance, Cadillac. Maybe you contact their multicultural marketing department. They might want to know who your reach is, who your audience is. And then if you're able to tie all those pieces, that is your social media and the number of people you're able to draw, and then also the number of views that you have watching your maybe show. It could be your show on Facebook, the views, not necessarily the likes, not necessarily the comments, because sometimes we focus so much on the likes and the comments, and yet you might have more views than that. And then also with regards to that, or to add on to that, I believe you should just continue to have focus on making great content. The numbers will come. So don't think of the shortcut. Sometimes you want instant gratification, and instant gratification is what tends to make people give up. So it's just being consistent, being true to oneself, and just having fun and continuously churning out good materials and utilizing these platforms to generate income directly or indirectly through the networks you've created.
So now I feel like this whole industry in social media can be really hard to catch an advertiser's eye. Everybody is trying to create that special content and get an advertiser's eye. So how would you be able to stand out on a platform to get sponsors and advertisers to help you get your brand to the next level?
You know what? These days, I'll be honest with you, we don't really know what's going on. This is a new ball game, right? However, I think if you're just consistent, if you have you're clean, your stuff is clean and precise, eventually, and then you keep being persistent and also finding out who the people behind those brands are, who the decision makers, identifying who the decision makers are. I think you'll stand out and you'll be able to, and being bold. You have to just be bold. Go, you know what? It's kind of a situation whereby you have to market yourself. You have to sell yourself. If you sit back hoping that, they say closed mouths don't get fed, right? If you just sit there hoping that someone will just open an opportunity for you, well, it could happen. But generally speaking, you have to actually keep working at it, and eventually you will get your work will speak for itself. And also finding that's why we say take advantage of your social media or your people your networks. They say your network is your net worth. It holds some truth. So if you see someone on social media who you believe holds the keys to how your advertising or what you want to promote, or whether you want them to buy advertising from you, find out who they are connected to, that's connected to you, and see if you can actually have them, create that, make that introduction. And that's why it's always back to what we said. Building relationships and maintaining relationships is key. Because what good are connections if you cannot utilize them? If you cannot utilize them, then they might as well be dead connections, right? Yeah, useless.
So consistency and being bold is what's going to get you far.
Yes.
So now, you said it's weird times right now, and it definitely is weird times right now. How have you been able to keep your business afloat during these unprecedented times and keep striving towards greatness?
It's been a bit of try and error as well, trying things and that work, and being able to know this works or this doesn't, and you've also pivoting, being adaptable, accepting that these are not this is not what the times it used to be. But I mean, I've also gone through that. It's been a journey altogether. I'll be honest and say that, because I've also gone through that moment of, am I making the right decision to market myself during these times? But at the same time, you're like, you know what? Bills have to get paid. Life has to move on, even while in these situations. And also, I love reading biographies, autobiographies regarding entrepreneurs, their tenacity. If you notice, many companies have been built, like AT&T was built during crisis. A lot of companies are built during times of crisis, because that's when you're looking for opportunities and trying to create value for the times that you're in. So right now, I believe there are lots of businesses that have come into play. You've heard of, you said a lot of people have created content, a lot of people are doing things online. So I also adapted to this online presence early on. I've done a lot of speaking engagements since COVID-19 hits, but at the same time, I've also been able to piggyback off the stuff I've done historically and tied them to what I intend to do in the future. I've also leveraged my social capital. Sometimes it's not all about price. It's not all about the money. It's all about the relationships, One thing I'll say, other than price, is there anything else that is stopping you from moving forward?
Yeah.
Think about it. So what are you how do you keep yourself moving forward? Or how do you stop those obstacles from holding you back? I tend to choose hope. I'm like, you know what? These are not the first times these crisis has hit us or hit generations before us, but life has to move on. So with that said, I mean, I have 3 daughters who I know I have to live for. So I have to keep working consistently and trying to improve myself, and creating collaborations with people, like-minded people, and how do we build one another. So that's how I've been able to adjust and adapt during these unprecedented times and lead forward.
I love the perspective that you have on it. It's just, you have to adapt and you have to keep moving forward so that you can maintain your sanity and keep pushing forward for your family.
Yes. And it's okay to go through some challenging times and say, okay, feel lost sometimes, but don't let it, probably if you're going through those moments, who you surround yourself with, who will help you come out of that dark place and help you press forward. Show me who you hang around, and I'll tell you who you are.
And I think these times will only make us stronger.
Yes.
So I just want to end with one last question. What is one quote that you live by?
There's an African proverb that I like, and I think it helps. I mean, and it encourages me, and it also encourages others. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Good one. Good one. Because we're all in this together at the end of the day.
Yes. And so, you know what? Sometimes it's all about me, myself, and I. It's good to also think of yourself, but guess what? No man is an island. You need everybody else to build for you to succeed in life. But that's you
Awesome.
could still self-lead.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Busie. You have a beautiful story, incredible journey, and thank you for shedding light and sharing all this advice that you've given us and all these gems. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Deanna, for your amazing moderation skills. And once again, I would like to give a very hearty thank you to the Black Women in Media for hosting me and for continuing to share amazing stories which continue to inspire and help accelerate change.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.